Hey everyone, I'm finally getting around to making my first long format video to upload to YouTube. I've just had so much footage from the past year, really, from training, different races, a couple different trips, and I've been trying a bunch of different angles of which video to make first, what to drop first, how to do it, and just kind of overwhelmed with it all. So I figured I'd start with kind of an easier one and just do a bit of a race recap of my most recent race in Morro Bay.
All right, Joel, what are we doing right now?
A little pre-race swim, a little course recon. I'm gonna go do about 1,500 meters at the end of the swim that we're gonna do tomorrow. Play with some otters, eat some oysters. Shit's tight. Yeah.
Back there. Well, one. All the rest are cut.
What
this
a
one.
perfect.
Dude,
So nice.
no swimming in the kelp bed, right?
Dude, on the way back, I realized everyone was going from the beach this way and back. I'm like, fuck. Of course, I do it wrong, but nice
How's the
swim
water?
though. So
Water feels
nice.
good?
Perfect. Didn't even go numb this time, bro.
Oh, so you can breathe.
I can breathe. New suit. Can move my arms.
Suit feels fast.
Super fast. Keeps the legs up. Streamlined. Good range of motion. We ready.
Early on Sunday. Now, the shuttle started at 4. Okay. The transition will open up at 4 also. And then lay out in the morning.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah, that was easy. There's no one in line.
Oh, okay.
I think everyone's listening over there. That's
See. Okay.
Of course, I had these fancy running taped up little 12 gauge pump.
Yeah.
It was a Remington pump with the head. It was taped up. It was a mess. She never messed. It was phenomenal.
Joel, what are you doing right now?
Finishing touches on the old trusty steed here. Attaching the aero bottle. Adjusted the new aero bars. Threw on some upgraded bars that I could adjust the height a little more to help my old man back. And I'm gonna put on the new little X-Lab wing for the hydration behind the seat. Make sure everything's nice and aero, cleaned up. Just kind of get everything positioned right and ready to drop off the bike at transition in about 4 or 5 hours.
Nice. free.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh my god.
Oh, baby, I'm so proud of you. Oh, good job.
Girls, don't touch.
Wow, wow, wow. Hey, can you fight that?
What?
Can you fight that? Well, we know you're real tired.
-5. I'm gonna go get some of my timing chip. I'm gonna come around.
So I'll just do a quick kind of like recap of the course, what I thought of it, things I enjoyed, liked, didn't like, and then just do a real quick breakdown of my race personally. Morro Bay is an awesome location. I think I really lucked out with the weather. We actually even had a bit of sun, but it is definitely a colder race. Usually overcast, I think in the 50s, low 60s. And yeah, so starting with the swim, it's a bay swim, kind of tucked into the harbor. Water was super cold, but it's like such a beautiful place. You're like surrounded by like sea otters and sea lions and the giant Morro rock and everything. So it's pretty easy to kind of get distracted of how brutally cold the water was. So don't overthink the cold water aspect of it. That was something that really psyched me out in the first race I did, the cold water shock, and so I was kind of dreading it. But if you just kind of do a little bit of acclimation, you know, get yourself familiar with your wetsuit, cold water, really isn't bad. Within the first 100 yards, you forget about the cold. So don't overthink the cold. The bike course was very beautiful. It's a lot of rolling hills, so there are some steeper climbs. It's up the coast and back down, and I'd say it's an equal amount of downhill to the uphill. So it kind of evens itself out. Not a super brutal course, but the whole way you're right along the coast. There's like cow pastures on either side of you, beach on one side of you, and just like amazingly beautiful scenery. So it's pretty easy to just kind of put your head down and go. The weather was perfect. I mean, a little chilly when you're starting, but as soon as you start kind of hammering away, your body warms up, and a cold really wasn't a factor on the bike. I didn't wear sleeves, gloves, anything other than my just short sleeve tri-kit. Takes you up to just about Hearst Castle, and then you double back and come the exact same way down. After that, the run is a really fun run course. You get to cross through town. I think it's a 2-loop course, so you cross through town at least twice. A lot of spectators, and then it takes you off into this like beautiful park that kind of runs through this like swampy, boggy area at the south end of Morro Bay. And yeah, there's a couple little steep, pitchy climbs and a couple rolling hills mixed in. But for the most part, it's just a beautiful run, and it being so cold, it's pretty easy to push yourself pretty hard on. And yeah, I just enjoy the course, enjoy all the people. The town is going crazy the whole time, so you get a pretty crazy energy boost anytime you're going through. And yeah, overall, it was an amazing race just based off the course alone. And I would definitely recommend it, and I'll definitely be doing it again eventually. As far as my race personally, we can start with the swim. I've been working really hard on my swim lately, and so I was going for roughly 28 minutes and under, ideally. And so I set off. They didn't allow us to get in the water before the swim because the start is so confined, so you couldn't really get in and get adjusted or get warmed up. So I kind of seated myself a little further back than I would have if I had a warm up. And then as soon as I got in, I just kind of went off to the side, filled my suit with water, and let my body adjust to the shock for a second, and then took off. The first half of the swim went great. I did it in about just under 13 minutes for the first about 1,200 yards. So I was on pace. And then, as many of you know, a big tidal change came through and had just like a ripping current coming through the harbor as soon as you went to the turnaround. So as soon as I hit that first turnaround, I saw the buoy, put my head down, took a couple strokes and looked up, and I was about 50 yards down past the buoy. Ended up doing a huge U-turn to get back on track, and then fought that current for upwards of, I think, 35 minutes. And I just thought I was having a terrible swim the whole time. I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't realize how bad the current was or how many people were suffering through that. And I guess it was just getting worse the kind of further back you seated yourself, or the slower of a swimmer you were. So the slowest swimmers really got the brunt of it, and were basically just swimming in place. And it being such a cold swim, swimming for that long, I heard some people were out there for 2 hours or something crazy like that. So I was lucky enough to, push through the swim, and I got out in, I think, 47 minutes, which when I looked at my watch and saw that in the race was super disheartening. I'm like, okay, great. I still suck at swimming. What's new? Whatever, onto the bike. So I got on the bike, had a decent transition. It is a long transition, and it's pretty hard and rocky. So I opted to just put my shoes on and run with the shoes, as opposed to starting with the shoes on the bike, which I think kind of helped, because I saw a lot of people limping around, and it was, pretty tough on the feet after your feet are hurting from the cold swim. But yeah, got on the bike, felt pretty tired after fighting that current, but I just thought I was gassed from another poor swim, and I just kind of got to it. For me, I don't race with a power meter, so it was all off perceived effort, and I felt like I was going pretty good. And right before the turnaround, I caught up to a fellow racer and passed him, and it was maybe, I'd say, 40 feet or so behind the next guy, and the guy I just passed didn't like that I passed him, so he put in a big effort to go around me and slot right in front of me and in between the other guy. Right as he did that, I looked to my left, and there was one of the moto refs writing in his notebook and yelling out a penalty, holding up a card. So that's a first. I got my first drafting penalty, which, believe me, I don't draft. I was really on my own the whole race, and that was just kind of shit luck. And I've been talking to a lot of people, talked to people in the penalty tent. It's happened to everyone. I mean, I'm glad they're out there policing it and making sure people aren't drafting, but for me, I kind of got the short end of the stick on that one, especially because the guy who passed me should have passed the other guy, whatever, slotted in front of me. So after I got that penalty, I was like super mopey, grumpy. I'm like, oh, like I'm out of the race. My race is over. Wah, kind of soft pedaled for like maybe 10, 15 minutes. And then was like, what am I doing? Like, you've trained for this race for this long. Like, get back to it. Kind of snapped myself out of the poor me mentality and got back to it and started passing people, getting back to my normal speed. And then got back, saw the penalty tent, went in, took my 5-minute penalty for drafting. Luckily, the people in the penalty tent were super cool. 2 ladies that were very nice, talked me through it. They both had gotten penalties in races before, and kind of changed my mindset a bit in there. Had a few laughs, felt good. I mean, that whole thing, you have to go in, they ask your name, bib number, they check you in, hand you the clock, wait for it to 5 minutes, then you get back on the bike, and then you have about another mile into transition from the penalty tent. So your legs go cold, you have to jump back on the bike, pedal your way over to transition, and then get ready for the run. So that kind of sucked, having my legs lock up after that. My hamstring just about cramped getting back on the bike to go finish the last bit, but luckily it didn't. I came into the second transition, feeling fairly fresh. My legs were a little stiff from that little 5-minute break there. But anyways, at that point, I'm like, okay, like this is the run. It's usually my strength. Like, let's just go have the best run possible. Had a pretty quick transition. Got right on the run course. I did the first probably 3-4 miles just like by myself, head down racing. And then after that, I had someone who I could just feel like was behind me for like such a long time. And so finally I just kind of pulled to the side and was like, sorry, I might be holding you up. Like, kind of started talking story with the guy. We were on the same pace and we just kind of got on the same pace. We each took a few pulls holding pace and kind of ran together for the rest of the race. And yeah, ended up having a pretty big PR in the half marathon for off the bike. I did it in, I think, 1:30 and some change, or 1:31, which is pretty good. I was super stoked on that for as tough as that run course is. So yeah, that felt really good to finish strong. I think in the end, my overall time was 5:19, which is about an hour and 20 minutes faster than my last race at Indian Wells over a year ago. Ended up 28th in my age group, which is much worse than I wanted to be. But I mean, with the penalty and all the time missing and that crazy swim, I mean, just to finish with a good run on a strong note, and like just know like the training's working, my body's in great shape, and if it weren't for, you know, some dumb mistakes in the race, and you know, you can't fight Mother Nature. If there's going to be a current, there's going to be a current. So overall, great race, super awesome town. There's a lot of great places to stay around there. I stayed up a little bit north in Cayucos, super cool Airbnb up there, like right on the beach. And yeah, it was just like a really good weekend, really fun race. Just a bit of assurance that my training's paying off and I'm going the right direction. I did not do as good as I wanted to, but yeah, I mean, it's still just kind of relit that fire. I know what I need to do, what I need to work on. My bike is still a big weakness for me, and my swim can still come a long way as well. So yeah, I got things to work on and a lot to look forward to. And I think the next race on the list will be 70.3 Cozumel in September. So I'll have a good 3-month block to kind of address all those weaknesses, hopefully get my fitness to another level, and then get the results I've been looking for. I just wanted to talk about the swim for a second. I know it got so much coverage. Everybody's been talking about it. What happened? What could have been done better? Honestly, during the race, I had no idea exactly what was going on, especially to the extent that it was going on. I didn't realize how intense the current was or the tidal change was, and I really didn't know how many people were just stuck suffering through it. So to the people whose first race this was and got stuck in that current and had to get pulled or didn't finish, I definitely feel for you. That was an extremely tough swim, definitely the toughest swim I've done in any triathlon. And during, I didn't realize why it was tough. I just thought it was another tough day out there. But afterwards, finding out the exact carnage and everything that happened out there, I just hope whoever did their first race and that was their result and they didn't get to finish the race, try again. It wasn't on you, it wasn't lack of training. It was an extremely tough day, and I know there were some people out there who were experienced ocean swimmers who did not finish that swim. So just wanted to say that, as well as, is there anything I think Ironman could have done better? I mean, a tide shift should have been considered, but they were trying to correct mistakes from last year where they got into low tide territory. People had to get up and walk during the swim because it was so shallow, so they just tried to make it in the deeper section of the channel. That mixed with the incoming tide was the perfect storm. People got stuck in that, and I don't think Ironman was responsible for that. And I definitely don't think people were responsible for undertraining. I just think it was, you know, it's Mother Nature. Things are going to happen. There's going to be bad days. And yeah, to everyone who finished the swim, congratulations. To everyone who didn't, it was by no fault of your own. It was an extremely tough thing and a cold day and bad conditions. So if you're feeling bummed for not finishing or angry at Ironman, I mean, it's all understandable. But was there anything that could have been done about it? Likely not. For next year, I mean, the only suggestion I could think of is either, one, watch the tides, but you can't really plan your whole race around a tide because you have to consider and how long the town can be shut down and all of that the race directors have to deal with. But possibly just making it a point A to B swim. So you're swimming with the current the whole time, maybe starting from the rock, finishing somewhere down the harbor if there's enough space for that. So otherwise, those massive tide swings in Morro Bay are always going to be an issue. So that is definitely something to consider if you're in this race or thinking about how to better the race for next year.